Start to be- Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. This is a special meeting. It is Wednesday, September 4th at 5:30 p.m. One item on the agenda is to discuss the minor street road paving plan. So I'm going to ask that Eric speak first. And I also ask that everybody speak up when we're discussing this. And then I'm going to ask Stephen for his viewpoint, and then the board will discuss this. Okay? All right, Eric.
Man, we've been out there at least twice in the last 2 weeks. Steve and I met out there initially with Brooks Washburn, and then Brooks, Aaron Jarvis, Stephen, and I, along with Representative Sheehan, went out there. I'm not sure where the board is at, but it seems pretty clear to the group that was there that the original plan to have 2 10-foot roadways with 5-foot paved shoulders just isn't going to fit within the physical boundaries of what's available to build. You know, you've got houses and driveways close to the road, you've got the cemetery. It does open up opportunities for things to get a little wider as you get farther away from the village limits towards the park. But I think Stephen will tell you that there just isn't the room to get 2 10-foot driving lanes and 2 5-foot paved shoulders. Yeah, and maintain a place for water to go and the appropriate support for the shoulders. Stephen, have I missed anything?
No.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's where we're at, and we have spent a considerable amount of time and discussion trying to come up with some alternates that will fit, that will satisfy the grant requirements, and that will provide a safe walking, biking lane out to the park. I'm just not sure we're gonna achieve all of those objectives at the same time. So I guess that's the purpose of the discussion for the board. Steve, you wanna?
Stephen?
So, I mean, after we've met, it's been talked about a lot.
Do you mind standing up, please? Thank you.
So a lot of things have been talked about. Which just aren't there. I can go round and round, but whose fault it is or however it got here, but we're here at this point. And some of the options I don't agree with, but that's kind of up to the board. We can achieve 26 feet just past the Corbine home and get to 28 feet from there on out to the park. But again, that's up to the board what you would like to do. Yeah.
And see, maybe it's good just to describe when we say 26 and 28 feet, what we're talking about in terms of driving width, shoulder width, and then support for the shoulders.
So everyone that, you know, as far as Brooks, anyone we've talked with, all says the driving lanes need to be 10 feet wide. So that's pretty much where it's at. There was talk of trying to go 28 feet the whole way. And the sub base is 27 feet and some places a little, 27 and some inches out through. There was talk of trying to put the 28 feet over the top of that. My opinion, I've been asking for setback from the edge of that. Now it's being talked about to go past that and go wider with no sub base and basically paving grass. So There's gonna be nothing there to support that blacktop. Then you roll into the problem of drainage. The water comes out of the cemetery. It will get underneath the road base and saturate it. It's called liquefaction. Slang term is the ground is pumping. And a lot of people, and they've like stepped on their driveway when the frost is coming out, everything jiggles as you're walking on it. That's basically what you got. The soil is starting to turn to a liquid state. So there will be nothing to support that. Then the question arose, where does the surface water go when it's raining? And I was told it could run down the asphalt. I don't see that as a good idea. I asked the question, what do we do, you know, on an early winter, late fall? It's warmer during the day, it's raining, turns cool in the night, starts to go below freezing. That's gonna be quite a hazard. How do we handle that? And I was told that no one will be out here in winter time using the trail. And the ice will be on the trail, it won't be in the driving lanes. I can't make that guarantee. Mother Nature is a bit unpredictable. I can't guarantee that either. What I do know though, is if you can't keep the water off the road and away from it, it will fail. That's a given. And widening the 28 in places along the cemetery, we're down to like a foot of edge right now. So that's gonna be gone if we go to 28. And we have no waterway. There's very little waterway left now. And we had one spot that we worked on this week that we actually had the road base was saturated and squishy. We left a storm drain the way that it was designed. Water couldn't get into it. And we finally just did, you know, it's caused a lot of problems with them now yesterday and tore it out and redid it. And to get the water to get into it, try to dry it back out. But it will fail if that goes to 28 feet the whole way. That's a given.
Okay.
That's my question. So can I make sure I heard this right? So you said that up, I don't know, wherever the house you said it's possible to go 26. And then after that, widen out to 28, is that what you said?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And I don't know where that house was, about how far along the stretch is it, Steve?
We're like 600-ish feet from Taylor Park back towards the village
Thanks.
of the 4,000.
Okay, so if I'm to understand correctly, Brooks Washburn is now saying that in his position, go 10 and 4 on each side.
Yeah, he's hopeful for getting the maximum amount of shoulder cost. He recognizes Steve's concerns and, you know, his basic, point of view was, hey, we want to try to maximize the space on the shoulders, regardless of whether or not it's going to cause decay on the road. He said that's a problem we can fix later. This is his basic point. That, you know, roads get used, roads break down, roads have to be fixed. You know, that's of course gonna happen. But he would counsel in favor of more blacktop right out to the edges of the stone. Where the stone currently is, where the base currently sits. In some places you're not gonna get 28 feet. It just isn't 28 feet of stone out there. Okay? But in some places that would be entirely possible. But as Stephen has pointed out, right, if you do that, there's no support for those edges of the blacktop.
Didn't we have a discussion regarding Judas about, you know, as far as that? You know,
That was executive session.
okay,
So the original plan that was presented and this started in 2017. The original design from the architect was to go 10 by on each side.
Yeah.
That was the original design. Okay, so now, what the architect is saying, after going out there, that he feels that it's now 10 and 4. Am I correct in that?
I would say yes. See,
Okay.
is that a mischaracterization?
I didn't hear you.
The original design
Mhm.
was 10 and 5 on each side. But now we have the architect saying 10 and 4 on each side,
He's, yes,
yes?
he did agree that there was 20, little over 27 feet of subbase there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, from your viewpoint, Stephen, it's just not doable. You're saying 10 and 3 on each side and then go 10 and 4 or 10 and 5?
10 and 4 out front.
10 and 4, 600 feet from Taylor Park.
Yes,
I just want to make sure I'm clear on what has happened. And so I'm gonna open it up for board discussion. Stephen's looking for the board to talk about this and we'll go from there. Thoughts?
Stephen, describe for me, if you don't mind. They talked about the road, as the road breaking down, the outside the road breaking down. What kind of timeline would we be talking about that, whether it's sub-base the way it was? Would you guess? I just a prevent, you know, I'm not at all knowledgeable about this at all, so.
next spring, if the heavy vehicle pulled over, it's all over.
Without the sub-base, I mean,
When the ground is soft,
I gotta
and
believe,
saturated.
I gotta believe that freezing and the thawing of winter would also,
Mhm.
not be good for it either.
Say in the spring, the first propane or fuel delivery truck pulled over to the edge. And
Or late winter when somebody's getting a late fuel delivery, whatever.
it's,
I didn't hear what you said. Ray.
When somebody gets a late fuel delivery toward the end of the winter or the beginning of the winter, and obviously, I mean, things are wet now.
You travel any of the town roads, you're gonna find, I travel Morley Potsdam all the time. That was one that got done 2012.
I couldn't put a time.
I think it was 2012. I think it was right after I got back on the board again. And you drive that right now. The driving lane is in pretty good shape. Edges are all broke. There's places where there's a foot cut in, you know, and that's on a 20-foot road that's got supposedly a sub-base under it. I question that a little bit. There's a lot of town roads that don't have any sub-base that are not enough to support what, you know, we're trying to do with them.
Big thing is to keep them dry, keep the water off them, keep them away from them. Unfortunately, we don't have the time and manpower to do that, all of them, but that's key to making the road last. And with no sub base and no drainage, got like the perfect storm.
Which we just had one.
Yeah.
Actually, we just had two, right? And that's not going away.
No.
You know, we have to adapt to the climate that's hitting us somehow, right? Would anyone else like to go next? Okay, I will. This has been a journey. We've worked very hard to fix problems, increase safety. I'm not an architect. I'm certainly not an engineer. We trust when we contract with architects and engineers that they are knowledgeable and they make recommendations and quite frankly, they know what they're doing, right? I trust that because I'm certainly not on either of those titles. I'm not a highway superintendent either. But for me, we have a highway superintendent that's been with us 15, almost 18, 19 years. And who's driven these roads, who has shown leadership throughout this process. And I think there was errors in the original design. I probably should have spoke up then. But again, this has been a learning experience for myself. So in light of what we have heard from the architect and Stephen's recommendation, I will be supporting Stephen's recommendation. But I'm one of 5. And I'd like to hear from the other board members.
Call me whatever it was, I was in it from day one. And I was one of the ones that supported doing this project. I always felt that it would be a good idea to get something to Taylor Park for the safety of everybody involved. That's where our summer recreation was. And so for board member and I worked on it. I was not involved in the writing of the grant, but I was there through most of it. I made trips to Brooke Washburn's office, and we all looked at plans. And they looked like very good plans. You know, we're very happy with what we were seeing. Good, this is what we want. This is what we expected we're gonna get. It wasn't until from the implementation phase and she had started working out there that issues arose. Issues arise. And it doesn't make any difference. If you're building a building, issues arise with plans. And did we see this coming? No. I still think it's a good idea to have something better out there than what we had. I'm going to say, people aren't going to agree with me maybe, that whatever we end up with out there is going to be better than what we had. But I understand where Brooks is coming from, but I don't know that I can buy into the idea of let's do it. And if it fails, we'll fix it. I'm sure the highway superintendent has got people calling him all the time. I gotta expect that there are people out there in the town of Canton that have been questioning why we spent so much time and so much money on Minor Street Road and that 4,000 feet when their road is junk. I'm sure he's hearing that. So I don't know if we can expect, go ahead, if we went ahead and did it to the 28 foot the whole way, and in a year or two it fails, we're gonna run back out there, make that all right. And I mean, there was even talk that, well, if it fails, maybe when we go back out to fix it, maybe we can find out a way to make it even wider. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna happen. So I guess I'm not in favor of putting something in place that we're fairly certain is gonna fail.
Thing that makes me nervous about the suggestion to put it over top of anything is if it does break down, it seems to me that that's gonna make it even more dangerous for people on bikes and people that are walking. And I don't think that's a good thing at all. You're going along and all of a sudden there's a place on the side of the road that I'm assuming is good for me to ride my bike on, and it's 6-inch ditch in the side of the asphalt going perpendicular to the way I'm going. That's gonna be a dangerous situation. And that makes me very nervous.
To me, it seems like there wasn't due diligence enough, just in the information I've had, and I'm obviously a new member. But just in the little bit of information I've had in the few months I've been here, that the design was not thought through, but the idea was thought through well. The design, no, absolutely not. And like Jim said, I've got neighbors on the Little River Road and on the Pink Schoolhouse Road wondering, what in the heck are we, we're talking about like doing all this and that, and he's like, we've got potholes that'll swallow my car. And I think the highway superintendent should have been more involved right from day one, and everybody should have been right together, but I mean, it's water under the bridge right now, and we just gotta get the thing paved. And we gotta do it safe, and we gotta make it last, because we don't wanna be in fixing it in 2 years. That's not an acceptable answer from an engineer, in my opinion. If we're gonna spend that kind of money and lay it down and make it right, and make it last. That's how it should be. Just my opinion. I think I'm on board with whatever Steven wants to do. I mean, that he's in charge of the roads, and that's how it should be.
And I'm right in the, listening to you that you really will make it as wide as safe, right? Where you feel is safe.
Yeah.
26, 28.
I mean, I originally called for 2 feet of setback and in
I'm
places
sorry,
where
Stephen.
I originally had called for 2 feet of setback. And now in places we're only getting 6 inches. So we're trying to get everything we can.
But you feel that with that little layback though, with stone on the side, it still would be very safe, pretty safe.
Safe. Longevity wise. It's
But not spring though, because you're on top of the stone, right?
correct. You've
Okay.
still got some base underneath the
Yeah, okay.
asphalt.
Okay.
Where it will fail is where you cross that line. And basically start paving on grass. There's just nothing there to support it. It's like scraping glass at that point.
Even 26, there's no guarantee, even at 26, that parts of that won't fit.
They push out at some point. There's not a lot of shoulder back up there.
Any other discussion?
This has been a tough one for me, because as I said before,
Yeah.
I grew up at Minor Street, right here in the village. I spent a lot of my childhood going out to Taylor Park on that road. It was scary as hell sometimes. So when I heard about this project, I'm like, good. And I was your recreation director for 30 years here in town too, so I travel that road every day to Taylor Park. I know all about Minor Street Road. I was happy when I heard about this happening. Then all of a sudden, we're getting into this design flaw, or whatever we wanna call it, where we're not getting what we thought we were getting. It's physically impossible to get it. I just wanna get it done. I wanna get it as wide as safely possible. But I don't wanna go too wide, where what Steven's talking about, because then it's gonna break down. We know it's gonna break down. And we're costing you taxpayers more money, because we're gonna have to go back and fix the thing. That's not fair to you either. So I'm having a real hard time with this. Wrestling with this for a long time. But I need to support our highway superintendent, because I'm not a road expert. He's a road expert. So I gotta go with what he's recommending. So I guess that's where I am.
Well, I want to thank the highway department and Stephen's leadership for what you've been through. You've been through a lot. I want to thank the residents for listening, getting more information. Fran, I did try calling you back today. And I know it hasn't been easy. But the ultimate goal is the safety of the residents that travel that road. That's what our highways are. We have 100 miles of highway. We don't have enough money to fix them all. We haven't, this board has injected from when I first started, we've injected an additional $500,000 into our roads. And we're gonna keep injecting more money as best we can. We've done our due diligence with taxpayers' dollars. There's just not enough. And I'll get off my soapbox on that. There's just not enough money to do what we need to do. So I am going to make a motion that we, support our highway superintendent's recommendation of this road being paved at 10-3 on each side, so 26 feet. And then where he feels fit, go to the 28 feet. So that is my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any just further discussion?
I had a question. The 42,000. 43,000 that we approved in March for the shoulder construction. Is that gonna be enough to do it?
That needed to be talked about because in a newspaper article, the county has had to tell towns that they're not going to make it to them this year. With Storm Debbie, things like that, they've had to tell towns that they're not gonna be there. They were supposed to be to us on Tuesday. They had mechanical failure last week, set them back, they won't be to us until Friday. So that took some of our window away. So I think we may need to start looking at possibly having to get a contractor to pave it. I don't know. I need to talk with St. Lawrence County Highway and see if there's a strong chance. We may be able, I know County Highway they're so far behind on their own right now. They're having Barrett and Heidelberg paid for them. So maybe there's a chance we could piggyback off of their bid. But that's something that the board needs to think about.
Would you have that for us by next Wednesday for our regular board meeting?
Yeah, probably, hopefully.
Yeah, because
maybe
how long
Yeah, well,
county's coming Friday?
Friday to start, but they were supposed to have been here yesterday, so we lost. 3
So they're
days
gonna
of
work,
our-
they're gonna work Friday.
They're trying to get done.
They're trying to get done. How many days work do we have for them with the 4 roads that they gotta do?
Probably at least a week and a half. That would be a question for Eric, if St. Lawrence County Highway has bid with Heidelberg and Barrett's, are we legal to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, and there's some bidding requirements for that. I'd have to take a look. Okay, but typically they did it in a way that we.
So if I contact County Highway and they are unable to do all of our paving, if I can get that information. Have them look at it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see if there's a way to piggyback on that. Yep.
That would save a lot of time.
So I'll add that, excuse me, that item to the agenda, for next week. Okay, for additional expenditure if needed.
That can get the information.
The only question
Anybody else?
we had a motion and a second. I was just asking a question in that.
I do want to say too, though, that we took the housing money that we sat on for 6 or 7 years. Nobody really knew where it came from. We put that in the highway budget to assist with the drainage problems of the households on Minor Street. So, that was another thing that we took action on. So, any further discussion or comments? Okay, so I'm gonna do a roll call vote. If you could just say our names.
Okay, Jim,
Aye.
Wayne.
Aye.
Marion,
Aye.
Randy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
All right, motion is carried. With that being said, again, thank you, everybody. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Wayne, is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carry. Motion, we are adjourned.
No public.
Thank you, everybody.